Welcome and thank you for joining. Again, we will start as usual to relax our mind, quiet our mind by watching the breath mindfully for a few moments. And we can try to cultivate good intention for being here. Something by us coming here together to listen, to engage in discussion, reflection, contemplation. May all of this become cause and condition to have correct understanding and realization of the ultimate and conventional Bodhichitta mind. And may it become cause and condition to actualize our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So not only we can be help and benefit to others, but to be greatest help and benefit to others and oneself. And not only for few, but for each and every single day. And may always be helpful, beneficial to others, directly and indirectly. And even if we are not beneficial, may we never intentionally hurt and harm others. Okay, so we should do that. Mary, you want to lead?
Thank you, Geshe. Yes. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, illusion, a drop of a dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. I prostrate to the Arya triple gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagawan was dwelling in massive vultures mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration of the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of the and form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore in emptiness, there's no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no order, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element, and so on, up to including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagawan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagawan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharivati Putra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagawan. Sajipu ki jushing meto tramri rabzingji ni degen padi sange jing ni te Drokunam Dagjingla Choparsho Idam Gururatna Mandalakam Niryatayami. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chonen Gipe Sonam Ki Jola Penshir Sangye Drupar Shog Sangye Chodan Soki Chonam La Janchu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chonen Gipe Sonam Ki Jola Penshir Sangye Druparsho.
Can you hear? Can you hear good? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Geshe.
So we just started this particular text by Nagarjuna. The title of the text is the commentary to the Bodhichitta, and as I mentioned, it is a commentary to one small section from the Guya Samadhikanda. And as we mentioned, when we talk about Bodhichitta, there are two kinds of ultimate Bodhichitta and conventional Bodhichitta. And here, Nagarjuna first explained the ultimate Bodhichitta and then conventional Bodhichitta, just like it is explained in Guya Samadhi, that particular section. And so, we went through. There were like 6 lines in on the that explain the ultimate Bodhichitta in the prologue, and you see, and the first line, is refuting the existence of self that is permanent, heartless, and autonomous, as it is explained by many of the non-Buddhist earlier schools. So refuting that. In second line, then even though such self is not accepted by all the Buddhist school of thought, all the Buddhist school of thought reject and refute that kind of permanent self. But two tenets, Buddhist two tenets. There are four Buddhist tenets, two other tenets, the Buddhist tenet of the school that follow tenet or school of Babasika and Sotandrika. Even though they reject such self, but they believe there is a truly existing external object. They believe, they establish there is truly existing external objects. And those external objects, especially the basis of all these external objects, they are made up, they are made from the, established or formed from the partless particles. And that partless particle is kind of the absolute and truly existence. That is also negated and rejected by the Mahayana school of thought, such as the Minor Holy School and Middle Way School of thought. Then within the Mahayana school of thought, the Middle Way School, Minor Holy School of thought, Siddhamatra, even though they refute truly existing of such external object, because they said there is no external object, everything is projection of your mind. But they still believe the mind, the subject, the perceiver to be truly existing. And therefore Minor Holy schools also refute that. Minor Holy schools refute. Not only external objects are not only external objects are empty of truly existing, but even the internal objects, even the perceiver, the mind is also empty of truly existing. So all phenomena, external, internal, the object, the perceiver, samsara, nirvana, they all are empty of truly existing, infinite existing. And that is the ultimate reality or ultimate nature of all phenomena. So that is established. And that the mind that perceives that ultimate reality directly, the mind that perceives the ultimate reality or emptiness directly, that is empty of all phenomena, empty of truly existing, infinite existence, that is the ultimate Bodhichitta. The mind that perceives emptiness directly, and that is being supported by the conventional Bodhichitta, is the ultimate Bodhichitta. And then when it comes to Tantra, then the clear light mind of completion stage, the clear light mind, the premortal clear light mind of completion stage that receive that ultimate reality is the ultimate Bodhichitta, the support of conventional Bodhichitta. So that was after that, that is how we went up to just last week. Okay, we just kind of just summarizing that. And Nagarjuna will go detailed with each of them as you go, And next is then explanations of the conventional Bodhichitta mind. Having introduced the ultimate Bodhichitta, now introducing the conventional Bodhichitta mind. In order to that wisdom, relaxing emptiness directly to become an ultimate Bodhichitta, as I mentioned, it has to be supported by the conventional Bodhichitta. And so therefore, then now introducing the, so here it says, just as the Bhagavan Buddhas and great Bodhisattvas cultivated a state of mind directed towards great enlightenment, I too, from this moment until the heart of enlightenment again, will cultivate this state of mind directed to great enlightenment. So, it is similar to also in Shantideva's both a way of life, also there is similar, just as all the previous Buddhas and Bodhisattvas had cultivated the Bodhichitta mind and engaged into the practice of Bodhisattvas such as perfection. May I also too, may I too also be able to, may I too also will cultivate that Bodhichitta mind and engage in the practice of Bodhisattva. So similarly, so through that we try to generate a Bodhichitta mind, just as all the previous Buddhas and Bodhisattvas has generated or cultivated the great Bodhichitta mind, the wish or the inspiration to achieve fully enlightened state in order to liberate all sentient beings. In the same way, I'm also going to, generate that mind, just like them said. So we can use this verse as a way to take your bodhisattva vows or to renew your bodhisattva vows every day. And you can, there are many different verses you can find, and this is one of the verses you find. Often you can use this as a very powerful verses to use. You try to generate the bodhisattva mind, and then you try to visualize all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you, and then, visualize repeating after them 3 times, and them reciting that and following that, and then you're trying to generate the Bodhisattva vows or renewing the Bodhisattva vows. So we can do that, And then I will do so. Again, in a way it's good, but sometimes it's like the 3 translations, sometimes the way, the term or the language they use so different. It looks like almost different translations sometimes. That is the problem with the English translation. Every translator is using their own. In Tibetan, they are same, almost same. You hardly find difference. And then I think there is this verse we use in our normal in FMD. We use to take like 8 Mahayana precept and other time. And again, the wording there is very different. Those not liberated be delivered, those not delivered be delivered, those who not able to bread may they give bread. So that is the verse. But here is very different. Also, all 3 translations. Anyway, so so the wish to achieve fully enlightenment, just like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then, I will do so in order to carry over to the other shore those who have not yet crossed. So I am following the kind of the middle one, Gunakara and Ravshi Shenyan translation. At the moment, I am following that. If you are wondering which one, And in order to free those as yet unfreed, to summon those who have not yet been summoned, and to place in the state beyond all suffering those who are not yet there. And there are different way of interpreting that. You find 3 different ways of interpreting that, according to different commentaries. In many of the tantric commentaries, because in tantric, when you do the initiation, and as part of initiation, you have to take the both vows at the very beginning. And then when you take the Bodhisattva vow, a lot of time this verse comes. Um, this verse is used as the basis to take the Bodhisattva vows. So one, the first here, maybe if we use, those who carry to other shore who have not crossed in that, and those sentient beings, even though who have eliminated all the afflictive emotions, but who have not eliminated the subtle obscuration, the obscuration to the knowledge. So those are the arhat, So those are the arhat. The shore here, meaning the shore of fully enlightened state, Buddhahood. So those who have not crossed, they have crossed from the samsara to individual liberation, but they have not crossed to the shore of fully enlightenment. So those are the one, okay, in one. And then in second, in order to free those as not yet freed, and those are the one sentient beings who have not been free from the afflictive emotion, who still have afflictive emotion, So those who are on the path to arhat, and those who have inclination to path to the arhat, but who have not free from the afflictive emotions, So then again, saying, I will free them from all their afflictive emotions and lead them to enlightenment. And then to summon those who have not yet been summoned is referring to those sentient beings who are in a lower rebirth, and who have been under the influence of those who are under the influence of negative karma, and due to that being in a low rank. So that those who are in low rank, I will liberate them as well. And to place in the state beyond all suffering those who are not at death. And then this is kind of summarizing all sentient beings who have not achieved fully enlightenment. I will liberate them to the fully enlightenment, the state beyond the sorrow, fully enlightenment. Okay, so that is one way of interpreting that. Another one you see is, interpret in relation to the Four Noble Truths. So the first one, I will do so in order to carry over the other shore those who have not at crossed, meaning, those who have not been free or liberated from the suffering. Those who are not liberated from the suffering, I will liberate them from the suffering and carry on to the shore of other side of fully enlightenment. In order to free those not yet freed, those who have not been free from the cause or origin of the suffering, that is the contaminated karma and the delusion. Those who have not been free from the contaminated karma and the delusions, I will free them from contaminated karma and the delusion and lead them to fully enlightenment. And to summon those who have not yet been summoned, means those who have been under the influence of, who are under the power or influence of self-grasping ignorance. I will teach them the selflessness, or the emptiness, and then, summon them or lead them to fully enlightenment myself. So that is the path. The first one is over through the suffering. Second one, the truth of origin, and third one, the truth of the path by showing those who are under the power or influence of the ignorance or self-grasping ignorance, by showing them the selflessness or emptiness, and thereby leading them to fully enlightenment. And then place in the state beyond all suffering of those who are not at there, and that those who are not free from all the afflicted emotions and subtle obscuration, that I will show them how to achieve cessation, and thereby lead them to the cessation. State beyond the sorrow. I will lead them to the state that's beyond the sorrow and the cessation. And that one then shows the noble path of the cessation. So that again you can and then in his Holiness commentary he explained Nagarjuna's in these commentaries by following one particular in one of the sutra, Lankashepado, in that sutra, Buddha explained about four vehicles. The vehicle of God and human, the vehicle of Brahma, the vehicle of Peter and solitary realizer, and the vehicle of Bodhisattva. So in that, Buddha explained those three vehicles. And so similarly, in the first, the vehicle of human and God, it is, many of the spiritual path, they believe in creator God. Our creator God created everything, And so therefore, if you want to be born in a heaven, a place of the God, a heaven, then, you have to be good persons, you have to refine compassion, generous, you shouldn't hurt, harm others. You have to be a kind person. So that is, and then from Buddhist point of view, even though there is no belief in such creator God, but in order to be born in a high rebirth, such as human realms and God realms, you have to avoid non-virtuous actions. You have to engage in the virtuous action. And you have to be kind of compassion. So similar practice in that way. So that is the vehicle. That is the vehicle of. That is the vehicle of the God and human. And so those who are in that, then I will liberate them to fully enlightenment. And that one first, those who are on that path, I will liberate them, all of them, to fully enlightenment. I will lead them to fully enlightenment. In the second, Brahman, the vehicle also is common between some of earlier non-Buddhist school and Buddhist school. That is through the practice of mindfulness or meditative concentration or shamatha, through the practice of that, that is the common practice. Not only Buddhists have that meditation, but also many of the earliest school of thought also have same or similar meditation, how to develop that kind of abiding or shamatha, meditative concentration. Through cultivating that meditative concentration in many of the other schools, their goal is to achieve higher, such as in the God realms, formless God realms. So when we say Brahma, then it's talking about the God realm. And in Buddhist, the reason to develop such shamatha or karma abiding is not to be born in the God realm, but in order to use that meditative concentration to develop the wisdom that can cut the root of all the delusion. The purpose might be slightly different, but the meditation itself is similar. And through that meditation, then one can have that. So that is this meditation practice is a little bit more superior than the early one practice. The vehicle of God and human, So then and so again, those who are in this path, also I will liberate them, all of them, to fully enlighten. And third one, is, even you have developed such karma abiding or samadhi or meditative concentration, through that mere practice, you can, reduce your delusion, or you can stop the delusion from manifesting. But you cannot get rid of it. When cause and conditions come, the delusion can manifest. When you are not deep meditation, and when you face certain cause and conditions, delusion can arise. It is not arising now because you are in deep meditation, and because you have such a deep meditation, you are able to concentrate on whatever object. You are able to stop all other thoughts from arising. You are able to stop all thought from arising. All the thought have synced completely. It is synced, but it is there. It's not manifesting because of your practice at the moment in that meditation. But when you are not at deep meditation, that shamatha, and when cause and condition arise, delusion arises. So therefore, that is not a way to eliminate the delusion completely. So in order to eliminate the delusion completely, then you need to have the wisdom of realizing the emptiness, the selflessness. Because the root of all the delusion is self-grasping ignorance. And in order to destroy that self-grasping ignorance completely, you need to develop the wisdom that realizes the selflessness of the emptiness. And so that is the vehicle of the hearer and solitary realizers. Those who are on the path to that individual arhat of the hearer and solitary realizer on the Buddhist path, they rely on that wisdom to liberate them from the samsara and the suffering. But even they are liberated from the samsara and the delusion, but still, they are not free from all the obscuration, and they haven't achieved their highest potential fully awakened. So therefore, also I'm going to liberate them all and lead them to fully enlightenment. And the fourth lines is, especially, similar, those who have liberated through the realization of the shamatha and the wisdom, liberated from the samsara, but who have not liberated, who are not liberated or free from all the subtle obscurations, also I will liberate them from all the subtle obscurations and lead them to fully enlightenment. So that is that. If you talk from common of both Tantra and Sutra, but when it comes to specific tantric practice, then those who have been not liberated from these conceptions, mind of the gross mind, the subtle mind of white appearance, red appearance, and the dark appearance. I will liberate them from all those conceptions and lead them to, the completions, pre-model completion, clear light mind of that pre-model that is free from all the obscuration, the Dhammakaya wisdom. So that is how. So there are three different way of. Basically, is saying all sentient beings, including all sentient beings. Not only those who are in the lower realms, but those also who are on the higher realm. Not only those who are on higher realm, even those who are on the path, but who have not achieved fully enlightenment at the moment. Not only who are on the path, some of them, even they have achieved the highest goal in that particular path, such as Arhat, but still who are not fully enlightened now. I will liberate also them and lead them to fully enlightenment. So that is, so in that way, it is a way to include each and every sentient being. Do you get it? So it is a way of including each and every sentient being within your object of compassion and the wish to liberate each and every sentient being without leaving any sentient being or without excluding any sentient being. So that is. And so then it is by reflecting on thus that bodhisattvas who engage in the practice of secret mantras, so must first cultivate relative bodhicitta, which has character of intention. So here is saying, so again, this is tantric. This prologue is from the Guya Samaja, root Guya Samaja Tantra. Even in Tantra, it's clearly mentioned, if you really want to enter the secret path of Tantra, and if you really want to have a, effective practice, first you need to develop the conventional bodhicitta mind. It's here, you can see clearly, who engage in the practice of secret mantra must first cultivate relative bodhicitta, conventional relative bodhicitta, which has the character of intention, aspiring bodhicitta mind. And not only aspiring bodhicitta mind, also engaging bodhicitta mind. So within the relative or conventional bodhicitta, there are two, aspiring bodhicitta, engaging bodhicitta. Just as Shandeva explained in the difference between aspiring bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta, you find even among the Indian masters' comments is slightly different. In Shantideva, you find in his Guides Bosa way of life, he explained the wish to go to enlightenment or the wish to achieve enlightenment is the aspiring bodhicitta, just like the wish to go to some place. And then engaging the bodhicitta practice is the engaging bodhisattvas. Bodhicitta, just like not only you have intention to go to somewhere, but you start walking. So one is aspiring to be there, and the other is you started going there through the practice. But another Indian master, Kamala Shila, in his stage of the mind, he explained, the bodhicitta without both sort of vows, without having taken the both of vows, is the aspiring bodhicitta. And once you take your Bodhichitta, once you take the Bodhisattva vows, it's engaging Bodhisattva. So of course, if you have taken the Bodhisattva vows, then we take the Bodhisattva vows to engage in those six practice of Bodhisattva practice as six practice. So therefore, you will start practicing, So therefore, in a way, there's no contradiction, even though when you first see it, it seems slightly different. So that is the relative bodhicitta. So here at the very beginning, first it explained the the wisdom by establishing the emptiness and presenting the wisdom relying on emptiness directly. Conventional bodhicitta, and in order to do that wisdom realizing directly emptiness directly to become a conventional bodhicitta, it has to be supported by the to be an ultimate bodhicitta, it has to be supported by conventional bodhicitta. Therefore, next it presents a conventional bodhicitta. So that is how why it is in that way. And here, in order to enter engage in the practice of six mantra, first you need to cultivate the relative bodhicitta. Then they must, after that, they must then go on to cultivate ultimate bodhicitta through the strength of their meditations. So here again, not only you need to develop first the relative bodhicitta, you also need to develop the wisdom realizing the emptiness, the ultimate bodhicitta. Through the strength of their meditation here, meaning, in order to have that special insight, and wisdom realizing emptiness directly, it has to be developed through the karma abiding, meditation on karma abiding. First, we need to develop the karma abiding through meditations. And having developed the karma abiding, then we, with the support of that karma abiding meditations, then we develop the special insight of wisdom realizing emptiness. And then eventually wisdom realizing emptiness directly. And that wisdom realizing emptiness directly, that is supported by the conventional bodhicitta or relative bodhicitta, that is the ultimate bodhicitta. So, so also here, it's clear before we really the practice of secret tantra will become a powerful, effective. We need to have the wisdom realizing emptiness and the bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta mind. If we have both developed first those relative bodhicitta mind and wisdom realizing emptiness, on the basis of that foundation, if we engage in secret tantra or mantra, then the practice becomes much more effective, much more powerful. Without those foundations, then you can still engage in practice. There is still benefit, but it doesn't become as powerful, as effective as it should be due to lack of that foundation. So that is here also clearly mentioned here. And of course, Lama Tsongkhapa in his Lambrim also mentioned very clearly. Also in Lama Adisha, Path to Enlightenment, he also mentioned. So all the from Buddha to all other later masters, they all seems to, say same thing. For these reasons, the nature of ultimate bodhicitta must be explained. So, therefore, for that reason, because of the importance of that, the importance of cultivating the conventional bodhicitta and the ultimate bodhicitta. Therefore, here I'm going to explain that further, more details or more further. Okay, so then it comes to the And as I mentioned, I'm trying to follow the translation of the middle one, because in some places I find this a little bit better. As today, also, the way. So anyway, so here, this is the commentaries by the Nagarjuna. And all this commentary is commentary that we just went through from that root of the Guya Samaja Tantra, So this is the commentary for that by Nagarjuna. So therefore, some scholars said this Nagarjuna's commentary to Bodhichitta is part of Sutra, or part of Tantra, because it's a commentary to a passage from the Tantric text. But many will say is part of Sutra because the main actually, even though it's commentary to that passage from the Tantra, but his explanation more from Sutra point of view goes in that. The explanation or emptiness from Sutra point of view, which is common to both Sutra and Tantra. And then Nagarjuna, he has tantric commentary to that, this root text. So again, among the modern scholars, there are different, whether Nagarjuna and Nalanda masters, whether they practice Tantra or not, But definitely there is writing commentary to Tantra by Nagarjuna. And then some argue whether it was the same Nagarjuna or not, But there was one Indian scholar, great Buddhist Indian scholar. He died maybe a decade ago. And he was one of those scholars who didn't believe Nagarjuna, Arya Deva, and those. Arya Deva is the main disciple of Nagarjuna, and earlier Indian master, Nalanda Indian master. He didn't believe that they practiced Tantra. But later he found a text in Nepal, in Sanskrit, Tantric text. And when he was reading that, he was convinced it was written by Arya Deva, Nagarjuna's disciple. Because the way it was composed, he said he has no doubt it is the same author. So then he changed his mind, his perceptions. Then he started to say, oh, they did practice because they found commentary by them. So anyway, this is kind of side talk, I guess, but I guess sometimes it might be also helpful for some people, because sometimes there is some misunderstanding. Some of them, Tantra came only in 12th century or something like that. Anyway, so here, first is paying homage, like in all the, you can see in all of the earliest writing, whether it's by Indian master or Tibetan masters, they start with paying homage to the holy offering. And I think it's really very nice of paying respect, homage. So here also, bowing to the glorious Vajra holder, who embodied the awakening mind. And then saying what he's going to explain, I shall explain here meditative practice of awakening mind that destroyed the cyclic existence. So Vajra holder in Tibetan is Lojasamba. You can see in other translation Vajrasattva. And that is, if you translate literally, that's Vajrasattva. But also Vajra holder, it could be Vajrasattva or Vajradhara. Vajrasattva is related to purification. Vajradhara is the kind of the from where all the secret tantric practice come. You know? So it's source of all the tantric practice. And in tantric practice, they explain, the Vajras symbolize your inner quality of the method, and the bell symbolize the wisdom, your inner quality, and that's why doja and bell, and so it symbolizes that. So here, is saying, the actual Vajradhara or Vajrasattva is the ultimate wisdom or ultimate Bodhichitta, the ultimate Bodhichitta of the enlightened being, the Dhammakaya wisdom. The Dhammakaya wisdom is the actual Vajradhara, Vajrasattva, So who embody the awakened mind, the awakened mind of both awakened mind of ultimate awakened mind and relative awakened mind. So who embody highest level of those awakening mind, So bowing to that. So when you pay bowing or paying homage, it can be paying homage to the quality that they embody. That is the Dhammakaya wisdom. Okay. Or the person, the being who embodied that. And so there he says now he's going to give more detailed explanations here, the meditative practice of awakening mind. So here awakening mind meaning bodhicitta, but here in this one meaning to ultimate awakening mind, ultimate bodhicitta mind. That destroys cyclic existence. That destroys the cyclic existence. Because it is the wisdom that relies the emptiness that will be able to destroy the cyclic existence of samsara. How you destroy the samsara is by destroying all the delusion. How you destroy the delusion is by cutting the very root of all the delusion. Cutting the very root of all the delusion. That is the fundamental ignorance of self-grasping. And in order to destroy that fundamental ignorance of self-grasping, then you need to have the wisdom that relies selflessness. That's selflessness. When you have realization of selflessness, then there's no more that self-grasping anymore. When there's no more self-grasping anymore, due to that self-grasping being attached to one side, oneself, and oneself and one side, and having aversion to the others and other side, will stop. And when there's no more attachment and aversion, then there's no more other delusion that arises from them. When there is no more delusion arising from them, there's no contaminated karma to be created. When there is no more contaminated karma to be there, then there is no more samsara. There's no more karma to take birth in the samsara. And when there is no samsaric birth, then there is no more suffering of samsara. So therefore, so he will explain both ultimate bodhicitta and relative bodhicitta, but mostly emphasizing on the ultimate bodhicitta. Mostly emphasizing on the ultimate bodhicitta. And then that ultimate bodhicitta, the wisdom realizing emptiness directly, that has been supported by the relative bodhicitta. not only with that, then not only you can destroy the cyclic existence, you can also destroy the extreme of individual blissfulness, or individual peace, and thereby we achieve, non-abiding nirvana or fully enlightenment. Not only not abiding in samsara, but also not abiding in individual peace or individual liberation. And instead, achieving fully enlightenment and then working for the benefit of all sentient beings. So that is okay. It is with the mind. Mm. But I think it is the way it is. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was missing. In verse number 2, okay, Buddhas maintain the awakened mind to be not obscured by such conception as consciousness of self. So, that in order to have the wisdom realizing the emptiness correctly and to have that ultimate bodhichitta that is free from all the dualistic views, that realize the reality as it is, in order to have that awakened mind, that both ultimate bodhichitta mind, the wisdom realizing ultimate directly, Buddha said it's not to be obscured by such conception as consciousness of self. So, such as conceptions of permanent and partless and autonomous self that has been that is explained by some of the non-Buddhist schools. If we have that grasping to such self, if we have such grasping to that permanent and partless and autonomous self, then that will obscure you from having the understanding of the ultimate reality. So it should be free from such obscuration. Okay. Aggregates here means as it's mentioned in the earlier, the aggregates such as your body and others external objects, as well as your mind and internal objects, the 5 aggregates, Also, if you believe them to be, truly existent, if you believe and if you grasp or to be truly existent, that will also be obscuring to have the realization, the ultimate reality. So that kind of obscuration, is within the school of the 2 early Buddhist schools, as I mentioned before, even though they don't believe in permanent self, but there is a belief, that the external things are inherently and truly existent, as well as the consciousness, and especially, the very basis of all this, with basis of the external objects, that is the partless um, particle, and partless consciousness that make all other consciousness. So, so if you have that grasping, them to exist, truly existent, also that will be obscuration. So it has to be free from that, and so on here. Meaning, also, even you don't believe, there is truly existence or inherent existence of external objects, and you don't believe in partless particle and partless consciousness. Even you don't believe it, but if you believe, the perceiver, the consciousness, will exist truly and inherently, that will be also obscuration to have the ultimate, to have the realization of ultimate reality, thereby obscuration to have the ultimate Bodhichitta mind. And so, and that one is the belief that mind only school had, So then it is always corrects by emptiness. So that is the presentation of the Nagarjuna middle way school, you know. So therefore, all phenomena, not only the external objects, but even the internal subject, the perceiver, and all aggregates, all of them are always encouraging emptiness. All of them are always empty of truly existing inherent existence. They all are, without any exception, without any exception. Without any exception, all things, all phenomena are empty of truly and inherent existence. That is the ultimate nature of all phenomena. That is the ultimate nature of all phenomena. And the wisdom that realizes that ultimate nature directly is the ultimate Bodhichitta. That ultimate Bodhichitta. So that is here. So previous ones in prologue is from the Guya Samaja Tantra root text. Now this is Nagarjuna. Okay. And thus you can see how they follow similarly that way. And then now verse number 3. It is with the mind most and by compassion that you must cultivate awakened mind with effort. So here is saying, that one must engage into cultivating the compassion. Because without the moisture of compassion, you cannot develop the relative Bodhichitta mind or relative awakened mind. In order to have the Bodhichitta relative awakened mind, you must have the moisture of the compassion. And one should engage in cultivating that compassion with effort that is supported by the wisdom. That is supported by the wisdom that is explained in the verse number 2. And when your compassion is supported by the wisdom, your compassion becomes much more strong. Compassion without being supported by the wisdom and the compassion that is being supported by the wisdom, there is huge difference. The compassion that has been supported by the wisdom is much more powerful, much more stronger. The more stronger your compassion, the more powerful your compassion, the more stronger you develop relative bodhicitta, the more powerful the relative bodhicitta. How strong your bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta, how strong your relative bodhicitta, it depends on how strong your compassion. How strong your compassion is. And if your compassion is supported by the wisdom, then your compassion becomes much more stronger. And to develop such awakening mind and both such a relative awakening mind, bodhicitta and compassion, then it requires a lot of effort. So that's why we know mind with effort. We need for effort. It takes time and effort. It's not going to come easily if you don't put effort. That requires practice. Not only practice, it requires consistent. And such consistent and discipline require effort. If we want to have consistent and discipline in our practice, meditations, we have to put effort, especially at the very beginning. Only through putting a lot of effort, then you can kind of develop more consistent practice, more disciplined practice, where where it's not kind of fluctuating all the time. And when your practice is more consistent and that discipline more consistent, then you will have better results. So here, to develop such bodhicitta, then we need the effort. The next line, the Buddhas who embody great compassion constantly develop this awakened mind. Why we need to develop this awakening mind of the bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta. And so here's saying, because all the past Buddhas, they achieve fully awakened state by cultivating that bodhicitta mind. All the present Buddha who are achieving enlightenment, they are able to achieve the enlightenment or fully awakened state by relying on the awakened mind. All the future Buddhas who want to achieve or who will be achieving fully enlightenment, they will only be able to achieve, or they will achieve that also by relying on awakened mind. So all the past, present, future Buddhas, they all are able to achieve that fully awakened mind by relying on that awakened mind. Therefore, here Nagarjuna is saying, therefore, if you want to achieve fully enlightened state, you also have to rely on that awakened mind. And therefore, you should cultivate that awakened mind. Okay? So today we will kind of stop here. Then I can open for some questions. Or any comment, questions? Yes, please. Good. Awakening mind, bodhicitta. Okay, bodhicitta. Well, I think maybe so. Maybe I didn't kind of. There are two parts in bodhicitta mind. Okay. Sometimes it is called. You find in scriptures, Maitreya's writing in other scriptures, earlier Indian masters. the mind of two aspirations for Bodhichitta, the mind of two aspirations. There are two aspirations. One aspiration is to liberate all sentient beings. Okay. The other aspiration is to achieve enlightenment, fully enlightenment for that. Do you see it? There's two aspirations. So that is here, even here, I think when we say in the Buddhist Samaja, just as the Buddhas, Bhagavan Buddhas and great Bodhisattvas cultivate the state of mind direct to the great enlightenment, I too, from this moment until the heart of enlightenment again, will cultivate this same state of mind directed towards great enlightenment. That is one inspiration. The wish to achieve that fully enlightenment and that mind, just like the Buddha and Bodhisattva. The second aspiration is the next one. I will do so in order to carry over all the others short to those who have not yet crossed, in order to free those who have not yet free, to summon those who have not yet summoned, and to place them instead beyond all suffering those who have not yet been there. The aspirations, the wish to liberate all sentient beings. Do you see there is two parts, two parts and two aspirations? So that is what Bodhichitta is. You know, the one aspiration, the wish to liberate, or the aspiration to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering and cause of suffering, is a compassion, great compassion. And then in order to do that, then you have other aspiration to achieve enlightenment to do that. So there's two aspirations, two wishes, and that is what called Bodhichitta mind. Yeah. Any questions? If there is any question also on the Zoom, please raise your hand or unmute. Also, I guess there was one complaint, I guess. Maybe we need another mic to pass because people are not hearing the question. And that was something. Okay. I can repeat, but some of the questions is too long and I can even can't, the questions was what's the really meaning of the awakening mind? So that was the questions. This one is easy. So I can repeat it. And then I give the explanation. Yes, and any other?
Yes, Jane
Maybe.
Jasper has a question.
Yes, please.
Yes. What is the, do you know the Sanskrit for great compassion?
Beg your pardon?
The Sanskrit for great compassion, do you know it?
Mahakaruna.
Mahakaruna, thank you.
Yeah, Karuna is compassion and Maha is the great. So it's Mahakaruna, yeah.
Okay, I was getting a little confused with awakening mind and great compassion in that last line.
Yes. So great compassion is the wish to, compassion is when you feel someone's pain and suffering, and when you wish to free them, or you had the empathy or the wish to free them from that pain or suffering, is the compassion. Great compassion, and when you expand that compassion to each and every sentient being, and when you embrace with every sentient being, So great compassion means that you have that same feeling, the wish to free from their pain, suffering, to all sentient beings, That is what great compassion, And not only to free, with the wish to free them from their suffering cause of them, but making the commitment or taking responsibility to do yourself by yourself. That's a great compassion. But in that great compassion, you don't have the inspiration to achieve enlightenment. Is that compassion? Then Bodhichitta, driven by that great compassion, then you have the wish to achieve that fully awakened state, that fully enlightened state. So that is why also is called the mind of enlightenment or mind of awakening, because the mind which wish to achieve that awakening state, the mind that wish to achieve that fully enlightened state or the fully awakened state. And such mind, the aspiration of wish to achieve that fully awakened state, driven by that great compassion, or induced by that great compassion, is the Bodhichitta mind. So there is a difference between the compassion, or even great compassion, and the Bodhichitta. Great compassion and cause of the Bodhichitta mind. And Bodhichitta mind is the result of the great compassion mind. In terms of cause and effect, result. Yeah. Any other questions? We still have time for at least one. Yes, please. No. First, it comes the compassion. Of course. Again, I have to repeat the questions. Is the aspiring Bodhichitta the compassion, and the engaging Bodhichitta the Bodhichitta, or something like that? Something like that. I think, because my memories, again, I couldn't repeat exactly how she put it, but I think that is more or less. No, both aspiring Bodhichitta, engaging Bodhichitta are Bodhichitta. And compassion comes before that. Compassion is great compassion, is a cause of the. So first you have the inspirations. So after you have that great compassion, then you really have the wish or the aspiration or empathy, wanting to help, wanting to liberate from their pain, suffering. But then you realize, in reality, in actual, as much as you want, you are unable to do. You don't have all the skill, all the tools, ability to do that. Because we are unenlightened just like themselves. So someone unenlightened person trying to help another unenlightened beings, you can help very minimum, very little. So if you want to really, especially you think of as those 4 verses, especially when think of wanting to liberate arhat to fully enlightenment. We are full of delusion, and those arhat who are free from delusion, wanting to achieve that wanting to lead them to enlightenment, that seems almost kind of strange, So therefore, you see, if you want to help them or those who are on the path, first you need to become fully enlightened yourself. So you come to understand, you need to achieve that fully enlightened state if you want to liberate, not only help temporary help, but to really help ultimate help, and to help all sentient beings, including those arhat. Then you have to be fully enlightenment. And so when you understand that, then the wish to achieve fully enlightenment arrives. The wish or aspiration to achieve fully enlightenment arises. That is aspiring Bodhichitta mind. That is aspiring Bodhichitta mind. And then, in order to stabilize that aspiring Bodhichitta mind, then through the ceremony, you take the aspiring Bodhichitta precept or vow, aspiring Bodhichitta. And then even though having that aspiring Bodhichitta mind is incredible, is most powerful and most supreme, compassionate mind, most supreme and powerful mind of, empathy, or the mind of cherishing others. But just by that aspiration itself, we cannot achieve full enlightenment. In order to really achieve enlightenment, fully enlightenment, then you have to really engage into the both sort of practice, such as this perfection, 10 perfection. And then the wish to engage in those both sort of practice, such as 6%, 10%, come very strongly. And then when you have that strong wish to engage in those both sort of practice, in order to achieve that fully enlightenment, driven by the aspiring Bodhichitta mind, then you take the engaging Bodhisattva vow. And once you take the engaging Bodhisattva vow, then you engage into the practice of such as fifth profession or 10th profession, different Bodhisattva practice. And so then that is the engaging Bodhichitta. So that is how it is in terms of sequences, in terms of sequences. Compassion comes, then great compassion, then aspiring Bodhichitta, then engaging Bodhichitta. Okay. So that is all for today. So if there is any questions, please you can bring next time. Okay, so we can do the dedications. Okay. So you want to lead, Mary?
John Cho Sem Cho Rinpoche Ma Ke Pa Nam Ke Gyurjik Ewa Nam Pa Me Pa Ong Ne Gon Tu El Ma Shu. Thank you, Shayla.
And do you have the Lama Sabha Rinpoche's return? You can just say that. Mm-hmm.
Fearless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with their lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of the Bodhichitta, of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples.
So then we can, His Holiness Dalai Lama's long life. His Holiness.
Sheila, His Holiness's long life prayer. Do you have that?
Yeah. Maybe today, maybe not, maybe next time. Okay. Hari Rave Kore Jinkam
Dewa Malu Jungwen Chenre Singwa Din Gatso Yi Jape Site Bartu Tenyurji.
Thank you. And I think hopefully maybe different students can lead the prayers, beginning and the dedications. We used to do that, but then in middle something changed what I had to do, and I think it would, because then the student can learn the tunes, chanting, and then if you listen, maybe I think you can learn those chantings, and so otherwise you will not put effort, and then you don't know, because we don't have so much chanting, just a few of them, so, and because we have heard so many times, it will be difficult. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Thank you. Thank you.